The need for energy is growing dramatically.
We're going to need every bit of energy that we can produce to meet that demand. We have to make sure that that energy demand is met with low carbon solutions. How do you produce more energy and also address the climate challenge that we have right now?
We're going right now through an energy transition from the fuels that give us the most amount of carbon to fuels that give us less carbon, things like natural gas. Methane, the principal component of natural gas, is also a greenhouse gas.
40% or more of the total greenhouse gas impact of our industry is from methane.
You really can't afford to have a lot of that methane escaping the atmosphere.
A kilogram of methane produces 120 times as much warming as a kilogram of CO2 in the atmosphere today.
So emissions can come from a wellhead. It can happen in a pipeline if there's a leak in the pipeline, or it can happen at the consumption point.
If our natural gas system emits methane, that can have a disproportionate impact on greenhouse gas emissions and their effect on climate. There is nothing that we can do in the short term to address climate impacts that would give us a bigger benefit than to get methane emissions from the energy sector to zero. From the wellhead to the burner tip, about 2% of the methane is getting out of the pipe.
10 years ago, no one was worried about methane. No one even understood why methane was relevant.
There was this understanding that methane could have a big role on climate change, but there was really no data.
Our group here at the University of Texas began going out and making some of the first measurements of methane emissions. Nobody had made these measurements before. We were inventing it as we go. We can now go onto sites and put continuous monitors.
You see different types of sensors that can be mounted on drones, on airplanes.
We can use satellite data that survey the entire world.
Those technologies are now enabling oil and gas companies to cost-effectively monitor and reduce methane emissions.
Once they realized that this was a real issue, they also realized this was a business opportunity.
Those countries that we're exporting to, they want to know how much methane emissions are associated with that natural gas. Being able to report what those emissions are is now becoming a demand of the market.
When we did a study up in the Barnett Shale in north central Texas, what we found was that about 2% of the sites gave us 50% of the emissions.
These are very large emissions, but often only happen for maybe a few hours or a few days.
A big part of reducing these emissions going forward will be getting after these large, unintended emissions. Industry partners are absolutely critical.
David and his team have a collaborative approach to solving this emissions problem.
We've needed access to their facilities, understanding that they have of their processes. It's been a real partnership.
The oil and natural gas industry understands what's at stake. It's preserving our climate, and we're willing to do whatever it takes.
He has changed the oil and gas industry forever.
I don't think the work that I've done could have been done anywhere but the University of Texas. There are 150,000 oil and gas sites just in the Permian Basin in West Texas. This is a project that needs to be done at scale. We do big.
Reducing methane emissions, you can see the impact of that in our lifetimes.
It has the potential to change the world.
Getting rid of the 100 million tons a year of methane emissions would be the equivalent of taking all the cars in the world off the road. We will reach zero methane emissions from the global energy sector by 2030. It's an immensely motivating force for me, thinking about the impact that our work can have.